honey viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So this episode is specially dedicated to the intuitives, and it is inspired by one of our viewers, Kate Sam. I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. So I really appreciate Kate for sharing her comments in many of our videos, and she's using her point of view as an NT. So I am dedicating this video for everyone who is an intuitive. It is not easy to survive in a sensing world. So our society is generally made up more of the senses. In Singapore, this is really crazy because we are in a system that is very sensing. So if you're not a Singaporean, let me tell you, Singapore is a very sensing country. A lot of things are based on evidence. So a lot of the things that are happening in schools, with the government, are all under the illusory comfort of evidence. It's almost as if having evidence is the golden rule for going ahead with something. So for example, you can say that, okay, the transport system, we have to do this because in UK they have done this before and it works for UK. So therefore, we have a predecessor that has tested this for us. Evidence. I think it has been a long time since Singapore has started an initiative of their own. Maybe one of the most successful initiatives that actually started from Singapore would be that of the Central Provident Fund. You may have heard of it. Recently, we have become more and more sensing. So take for example, in our schools in Singapore, in order for us to engage a vendor or an external service provider, we have to give evidence that their course actually works. So what do we do? So how do we prove that this awareness program or that enrichment program works? We do the simple measure, train, measure system. So we do a pretest measure for the children who are going to go through that course. Maybe their initial score is 8, and then we give them the training and then we measure again. And then after that, their score is 12. So we say that yes, this shows that their enrichment program or this initiative is really working. What bullshit is that? If you know psychometrics well, you know that there are a lot of confounding variables, such as people can get practice effects, which means to say the second time around when they do something, they definitely have an improvement in score. Another possibility is that the children will definitely put in higher scores knowing that you expect them to put a higher score. So if this kind of thing is regarded as evidence, we are heading to a society or a world where we are going to be more and more wayang. Okay, if you don't know what wayang is, it's just acting playing along. So I expect this is what you want, so I just play it. So this is also one of the things why we are heading to doom lah. Anyway, intuitives, we are the type that do not need evidence that much. So let's not bow to the pressure that others are exerting on us. Unite! Anyway, let me rant for one more time. I do not understand this really need for evidence. So I hear of this kind of a story far too often. You are on the phone with your boyfriend and then he says good night, sweet dreams dear, he hangs up. Immediately after he hangs up, he talks to a girl beside him and they are on bed, naked. Why do you want to hear the good nights when actually this is not the reality? One of the students told me, at least he says I love you. Do you really need him to say I love you to know that he loves you? So yes, dear viewer Kate Sam, you have said this before. As an intuitive, we find senses very illogical. And then we sort of like on the senses. So here's a quick one for the intuitives to encourage you to go on forward. First, there are a lot of contestants in the history of all competitions. American Idol, X Factor, blah blah blah. The person that ends up as the champion may not be the one ultimately that will become successful down the road. It could be a contestant that actually entered the competition but did not even get into the top 5 that might end up in the future to be more popular, more famous, more successful than the champion. There are a lot of songs that did not hit number 1 in the billboards but eventually turned out to become legends and classics. There are also actors who strive and worked very hard, were totally not popular for a long time in their life. One such example is Donnie Yen. But see, he is very popular now. It's just not your time. So if things are not working well for you now, just understand that now is not the time. It does not signify that in the future, things will still be the same. So don't be disheartened, fret not. Sometimes it takes a lot of battles before you can succeed. It is harder to succeed in this world because the world is sort of designed for the senses. But continue to be yourself, because one day you will find your success. So remember, as long as you are alive, the ending is unknown. You do not know what's going to happen right at the end. It could be a happy ending or it could not be. But even if it's not be, make it a majestic tragedy. At least let people know that you exist. Of course, the reverse is true. If you are successful now, remember this, it may not last forever. So enjoy the moment now. Because one day you might be replaced. Who knows? Again, you have not lived until the end. Only if you live your life to the end, then you will know eventually whether you wear a smile in the coffin. So before I end, let me just tell you a historical story. In 2002, Germany was beaten in the World Cup by Brazil 2-0. However, 12 years later, what happened? Germany trashed Brazil 7-1. You can always make a majestic comeback. You may have won today, but you may lose again. So you definitely will not know what's going to happen as long as you keep trying. The ball is round. So is the world. So of course, even though we started the video talking about this is a video made for the intuitives, it's actually meant for everyone. Though I think that this video might not sit well with the senses. Okay, in any case, if you are new to the channel, do consider subscribing to us so that we can bring you more MBTI and fun stuff. And don't forget to leave a comment, that will really inspire us a lot. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye bye.